Let me just make sure everything's okay here. Yeah, there we are. Checking my stream. Yes. Hello, Rhonda Shank, Donald Lampert, Paula Schnell. Good to see everyone here. How is everyone? Good, bad, neutral? Well, that's weird. Oh, no, I guess I just put it in here. I got some soda water. I didn't put very much in here. I wonder why. How is everyone? Hello, Elizabeth Haynes. Well, we have much to talk about, don't we? So why don't you all come along? Wendy Burt, Jan Silverthorne, Joel Tilson. Oh, there's a gene therapy that cures deaf people. Well, gosh darn it, that sounds cool. That sounds very cool indeed. Okay. Let's see. Okay, what are we doing here? There's something I wanted to look at. Oh, yes, the 440 Daily Digest. Have you guys looked at the 440 Daily Digest? Yes. So hearing loss breakthrough, an 11-year-old. Well, I can show it to you. Let me see what I'm doing here. Is there any ringing or buzzing that sometimes happens? I've got too much going on. 11-year-old lost hearing thanks to experimental gene therapy treatment, according to initial results released yesterday. Mutated single gene known as otoferlin. So this is so to be clear, they're not saying all deafness is cured, okay? They're talking about deafness associated with people who are deaf due to the mutated gene necessary for producing otoferlin. So if that is the cause of your deafness, they may be able to give you a stem cell that has had the mutation corrected and then planted in the inner ear and let the healthy ones grow, allowing for the production, I would imagine, of healthy ear cells. Oh, yes, I'm right. It's good to be right. It's done in China. Oscar nominations. What do y'all think about that? They said Barbie got snubbed. What do you guys think about that? Holocaust survivors alive. Some good stuff here. Okay. We can talk about all of it. Excuse me, I did take an Allegra. In order for us to hear, the hair follicles have to move. Excuse me, and they send a vibration to the 8th cranial nerve, the cochlear branch of the 8th cranial nerve. If that is the cause that the hairs are affected because the gene to produce them is not functioning, and you correct it by giving them, excuse me, new cells, then that could produce that. Then the underlying cause has been corrected, which would result in effective hearing. So then the question becomes, what percentage of children born deaf have this particular mutation? So if you're deaf due to another cause, like death of the nerve cell in seniors, the nerve cells start to die. Another reason might be nerve cells, narrowing of the arterioles, capillaries, allowing nutrition to the area in seniors, arthritis, which can cause damage to the ossicles, the small little bones inside of the ear can become damaged. It's just due to ossification. Yeah. All right. Well, great to see you all. Let's go ahead. We'll do the empath prayer. I apologize. I am back with the cat. I did buy a special spray from Amazon. It might actually be here today. Supposedly it neutralizes the pet allergy. So hopefully this will go away soon. Any announcements before we have to do the empath prayer? Be sure, of course, there's still time to read Wingo Fly, the novella by the amazing Kim Hines about a psychic, magical girl, African-American, living in difficult times, and then she saves herself through her own inner powers and abilities. So, wow, powerful. Science fiction, fantasy, there are different genres of it, right? But African-American science fiction fantasy is something I've just recently gotten into. And this is along that line. Yeah, so it's very good. So please check it out. Wingo Fly, Kim Hines. Okay, so very good stuff. Yes, Joel, this is something that we talked. And thank you, by the way, for this. Can we do the empath prayer first before we keep going? Yeah, we're going to do cards. We're going to do everything, but I think we really got to do the empath prayer. Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. Together, collectively, we say, Amen. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to say is that when you step back and you look at the economic situation, which we did a couple of years ago, we saw a lot of stuff boiling. It's very frustrating when you don't really have any power to do anything about it, right? All you can do is tell people, well, this is what it looks like. You guys are free to do what you want. But it looked like the trade route situation was escalating. It felt like Russia was infuriated that they were being blocked in the name of Western democracy when it really was just the West screwing him over financially. He was very pissed about the fact that he had lost ports and the revenue that came from those ports, revenue that would have gone back to the Soviet Union. So he wanted Odessa. Every time I went back into Putin's energy, he would say, I want Ukraine. I want Ukraine. And yet I found myself compelled to tell people, oh, I don't think he's going to do it, while simultaneously telling you precisely what he was planning. So if you go, because I always want to believe the good's going to happen, while simultaneously giving you a very different remote. So in the remote, what did he say? He said he wanted to spread the lights of Moscow to the entire world. So this guy was on some kind of messianic trip, right? He was on a messianic trip, and he was going to be like the Messiah of his church. I don't know anything about this religion, his religion, but it was almost like he felt like he was going to be it was like he was going to be the new czar. That was how it felt to be in Putin's energy. He was going to be the new czar and the head of the church, and like a messiah heralding in the great days of Russia. And then Russia was going to cover the world with its lightness, and the lights of Moscow, the lights will never shine. So the lights will never set on Moscow, right? So, so you see these trade scuffles, and you see this conflicts happening in places like South America, right around the same time that South America is struggling with issues like drought. Migration is up in certain areas because things aren't growing in certain areas. At the same time, we have COVID, and we've talked about COVID. Hi, Chicky, good to see you. We've talked about COVID, the fact that COVID came and wreaked havoc on global economy, starting with China, starting with China's trade, but also with tourism. Now, I was asked to go into the energy of COVID and try and find out what the hell was going on. So you have a wet market, so people are concerned that maybe public health at the wet market is putting things at risk. But when you looked at the actual genetics of the COVID vaccine, it looked like it might have been manufactured inside the Wuhan lab. So one of the things you can do as a scientist is you can just put yourself in the situation, put yourself in the experiment. If this virus got out of China or got out of Wuhan lab, was it intentional or not intentional? So then we have to go and we have to take a hard look at the head scientist, the woman. Could there have been an accidental leak? You've got to interrogate this person over and over and over again. Is it possible that this was an accident? And over again, when I put myself in that scenario with her, I kept hearing her say, not possible, not possible, not possible, not possible. In plain words, this was a scientist that was incredibly responsible, that was doing everything in her power to make sure that there were no leaks going out of the lab and that all the carcasses were being cremated. She was spotless. So if she was spotless and it was not an intentional leak, then that leaves you with it's intentional. So who would have intended to have taken it out of the lab? Somebody was intentionally transporting it out of the lab. Who and why? Well, we know that spies were arrested in Canada. Chinese spies attempting to steal information, possibly what? COVID vaccines. What was the significance of COVID vaccines? Significance was because China was being accused of stealing patents for vaccines like COVID. They were stealing our research data and vice versa. So if you had a spy come into the Wuhan lab, aka patient zero, if patient zero is the first contact, then the first thing you want to do is sit patient zero down and say, how the hell did you get this exposure? Did you take a vial out of the lab? And if so, why? Who'd you give the vial to? That's where my head is going with patient zero. Why'd you take the vial out? This was not an accident. It was intentional. You intentionally took it out. You're patient zero, which means that you took that vial out of the laboratory. Why? Did you take it out to sell it to a foreign government? Which foreign government? Or is it China? Another possibility that's been thrown around, right? China watching its own lab, sends in people, has spies within working for China, and then they come up with the idea of taking it out. So we don't know. We don't know if, we know it was probably intentionally taken out, probably by a spy. We don't know if it was one of China's own internal regulatory groups coming in and taking samples, or a foreign government. Either way, it appears that that's what happened. And then the leak is likely unintentional. Why unintentional? Because, first off, the mortality rate isn't that high. It's not like the Spanish flu mutation of H1. Was it H1N1 or H1N1, right? So, and this is H1N7, is that right? Go back and check my data. So the takeaway is this. It wasn't as virulent. So if somebody was trying to wipe out the planet, this is not exactly the one they would intentionally leak. Now, more than likely, they're stealing it to sell the patent so that they can make the money, honey. Also, there were some American spies. No, there were Chinese spies in the United States arrested as well at a COVID lab for swine, to vaccinate swine. Yeah. So now that you've heard all of that, that there were these patent wars going on, stealing each other's patents for medicine, drugs, vaccines, etc. Spy possibly takes it out, either an internal Chinese spy or from another country, and then it winds up accidentally leaked, spilled, and then from there, possibly it leaks. Possibly, it could be that patient zero leaked it on themselves when they attempted to steal the sample. And so it was not, there was nothing intentional about it. But then once patient zero is on the subway, once patient zero is running around taking buses in Wuhan and in the market, they proceed to spread unintentionally. So that's probably what happened. Yeah. So now you're in a situation with China where they've lost years of revenue. They're dealing with sanctions. They're threatening to take Taiwan, right? And now their banks are collapsing. So the question we have to ask you folks is, do we let them collapse with consequences to the rest of us, or do we come together to prevent China from collapsing? Discuss. See, I think the economic forums, I think the smart people are going to get together and realize we got to work this out. It's so interesting that you hear business people talking about those global elite, right? When nothing could be more global elite than the economic forums getting together and saying, we've got to bail out China. We've got to bail out the businessman, the businesswoman, because if we don't bail out China, your businesses are going belly up. So in the end, who turned out to be the global elite? The global businessman who's got investments in China and understands that if China goes down, we're all going down. That everything is connected, that all the economies are connected, that no country is an island. We all do trade with one another, and this is going to have a ripple effect. So you have the Torah, high priestess moving into seventh position, the immediate environment. So we have to put emotion aside. How do we fix it? Because China is taking a heavy toll economically from COVID, tourism down, everything else. Members events, it depends on what you want. Saturdays at noon is for our free tarot card readings for members. If you'd like to be a member of our channel, you can check out the information below. Fairies and Angels starts at $2.99. We get together Saturday at 12. We have a quick little lunch together, spend an hour together at the Elders and Empaths, $9.99. We are teaching tarot right now and remote viewing. All right. Thank you. So academics coming together, and then we have money given to the opposition. We have to bail China out. What do you guys think? China's in serious trouble. Do we let 1 point something billion, what is it, 7? How high is it right now? I think we're entering a new beginning. Springtime, new partnership with China. It's ridiculous. We don't have to be antagonistic with China, right? Mm-hmm. Look at this, new business, entrepreneurship. Oh, new construction for China. They've got some new building coming up. That's good. Their economy is going to be doing a lot better in spring. She said that she is like cracking down on corruption in a really big way. There's going to be conflict with Xi, but he's also bringing back a lot more intellectuals. And he suppressed a lot of people because he said he feels that there's a lot of corruption. So he gets rid of a lot of the old guard that he felt was corrupt. And then he gets rid of them. And then he brings in these extremely young, vibrant, independent thinkers. That's the best way to describe it, because you have Xi here taking on a new beginning in the spring. And you have here another spring card, the 4th month or April. New economic incentive comes in for China. And then look at this, a new partnership with the West with a nice 2 of Wands. And look at this young exchange education. That's like learning. 5 of Wands is like young kids like hammering it out in school. And what about it? Seeing what works, seeing what doesn't. 5 of Wands, that passion of the innovator, the person who's coming up with crazy ideas, right? The 5 of Wands right over the 2 of Wands. So what do you guys think of that? Maybe we don't have to be the policeman of the world. Maybe we just need to find ways to settle our differences that are not so antagonistic. And that seems to be what we're going to do. I think we can avoid a lot of these wars. We can avoid a lot of this stuff. We can work towards being compassionate, at the same time maintaining what are our beliefs, what are our standards, our ideas about what democracy are, but we can't impose it on somebody else. We can invite them here. We can offer free educational services for the best and brightest of Afghanistan or Cambodia. We've had programs, scholar programs like that, where we brought in people like Xi, who I think wound up in Iowa. That's, if you really want to change hearts and minds, it's not by blowing people up. It's by giving them a new education, new opportunities, and coming together for the common good, which is because most people want the good life. And that is the direction I really feel when I go into this. People don't want war. People want to love their families, and they're tired of, and the other thing that's happening in the world is that people are getting tired of Hollywood. They're getting tired of the facade. They're getting tired of all of this effort that it takes to be fake. To be fake just so somebody, and to do all that time and energy to be fake so that somebody will like you, who doesn't know you, and they really won't be liking you anyway. They'll just be liking some facade, and as soon as it cracks, which it will, because nobody can maintain that level of perfection. So I think people are just turned off by Hollywood. They're turned off by it's the standards are too high. We can't, it's a joke for us. We're just, we just want to watch YouTube videos, right? At least I do anyway. If it's a meaningful little something like on Netflix, but even that I don't watch anymore. I'm much more interested in watching videos from fellow readers or about how to can my own vegetables. People are just moving away from what's fake. All right, so this next conversation, people want to talk about Kate Middleton. As you know, she was in the hospital for 2 weeks. People had asked me not to diagnose because I can't, but just as a doctor, what could possibly be going on. People had asked about IBD, irritable bowel disease, which is things like Crohn's disease, etc. Certainly those are possibilities. And you can have a stenosis or narrowing in the intestine, which requires surgery, or Crohn's disease as well, which is a type of IBD, irritable bowel disease, which is found more in the large intestine. There's also a condition which I've talked about, which is called diverticulitis. And diverticulitis can be a blockage that can result from scar tissue and narrowing diverticuli, also pouches that can happen in the usually in the sigmoid colon area. We see this kind of pouches starting to form. Now, it's been associated with a low fiber diet. Some women have had problems in this area after giving birth because you have to push really hard, and sometimes it can also cause tearing in other parts of the body, right? So when you give birth, any kind of bearing down or heavy bearing down. There has been some interesting studies about the stress relationship between these kinds of conditions. Can stress aggravate irritable bowel disease? Can stress aggravate or be a contributing factor to something like diverticulitis, where you literally have holes starting to form in your gut? Well, I think it's got a spiritual component, even though I can't prove it. I think that when people are stressed out, when people are having to shove down their feelings deep into their gut, I think that we can. I think we can see some side effects, right? So I don't know about colonectomy, but yeah, it's disturbing. I'll go ahead and I know a couple of you had asked about this. It is the Thursday show. We do a little bit more gossip. She is thin, which could indicate celiac disease or Crohn's disease, IBD. No, I think they said it was a bowel resection. They've already said it was a bowel resection. And gallbladder removal, you wouldn't be in the hospital for 2 weeks. It's laparoscopic. She does have some of that, but her energy levels are good. I mean, they could say she has Crohn's, and that might be why she's thin, which would have caused malabsorption, maldigestion. That's possible. Oh, so they say she's going to be okay. She'll be feeling better in about 6 months. I think she's going on vacation somewhere. This almost looks like she's going to Greece or Well, that would be nice because it's cold in England. So she's going to heal and recuperate, and I wouldn't be surprised if they saw her like vacationing in some place like Cyprus or Greece or Turkey or something like that, because this is a very nice restful energy in a warm, like warm Western Europe. That's what this looks like. It looks like warm Western Europe. You can see here she's going to be fine within 30 days, and then she goes to this warm southwestern area. However, there is a real possibility that this person's marriage could end. And that's because, did I pin you? Did I pin the wrong one? Yeah. That's because we have in the opposition the Queen of Swords, which is a divorce within 6 months. You know, it could be something where for her, this is a wake-up call, that maybe it's time to walk out the door. Hopes and fears, she wants her personal power. And then the King of Pentacles is there. Don't know what sign her husband is. She wants power over her money, I think. So the fact that she has power over the King of Pentacles would lead me to think that she doesn't have her own money. Maybe they have her on a purse. She's allowed a small purse where she can go to lunch with a girlfriend, and they have a clothing allowance. But this is somebody who may be trapped financially. She cannot leave because of the purse. Power over the purse, over the money. She could leave this marriage because it is killing her to stay. Death and Archangel Raphael. I think she's very likely going to divorce him. What do you guys think? Yes, no, maybe. China pulled all, oh, whoa. I did not know that, Joel. He says that China banks pulled all funds out of Russia. Well, that's the other thing. We can go into Russia because Russia is a walking disaster, right? All the academics and intellectuals left. We went and we looked at the oligarchs. The oligarchs were pissed off, right? Because they want their money back. They don't want to be part of some weird religious trip by some wingnut who needs to get out. I mean, like, that's the kind of feeling. The war is dragging on. 800 dead Russians a week, is it? So let's see about the relationship between Russia and China. Good to see you all, by the way. If you could like and subscribe, that would be awesome. We'd really appreciate it. Also, being members, great. You guys want to be members? Okay, China and Russia's relationship right now. Well, I don't think that they share the same values. I don't think that she shares the same values as Putin. You see, you have this higher ethos, right? And I don't think that China supports this war. I think she thinks you should just leave him alone. You're like the abusive ex-husband. It's like she doesn't want to be with you. I mean, it almost feels like she pulls out of Russia and says, look, she isn't interested. You're not liberating her from her ex. She's clearly, because you have the issue being the empress, which is the wheat. Ukraine's wheat. They're living in La La Land, the Queen of Cups, which leads to fighting and conflict between China and Russia. It's the war, it's the wheat. You're just lying to yourself. You want to steal the wheat. You want to steal the exports. You want the port back, right? I think she thinks that Putin is insane. I think that she feels that Putin is so insane that you can't even talk to him, that you cannot negotiate with someone who's talking to themselves, talking to phantoms. It really looks as if even if we don't agree with everything that she does, she really is thinking like a leader. Well, we got to get rid of the corruption. We got to bring in new, fresh minds. Like that. I can understand him a little bit more. But here we have over the issue with Russia, we have success, Ace of Swords, and ethos. But look at Ukraine, the Empress and the Ten of Cups. So good things come to Ukraine. But the foolish Queen of Cups who rubs her lamp and dreams is how she views Russia. Just foolish woman living in La La Land. And look at this. Look at fighting with Putin. Seven of Cups, completely off his rockers. Living in a dream world of fantasy. We're going to free them from the Nazis. I mean, you're out. This goes back also to what I have said about Putin, not just that maybe he could be physically sick, which I don't know about, but that he shows characteristics of a drug addiction, a deteriorating personality due to drug addiction. Like a Seven of Cups would be completely out to lunch, la and fighting. He is unplugged. So it's not just about everybody pulling out of Russia and investments in Russia. That's not all of what this is. It's also the fact that the guy comes out nuts. He looks nuts. Nuts. Seven of Cups is when you're in the clouds, you're out to lunch, you don't know who you are, you don't know where you came from. You're living in fantasy world. Oh, Diane, please. Oh, yes, more compliments. Thank you. Oh, hello, Holly. Thank you so much for your membership. Much appreciated. Give applause, give applause, give applause to Holly. We love you, darling. We love you. Thank you. Thank you. I should. Well, do you want my. Well, we were doing a lot of investigating today, so I do have for you, I've got my Sherlock Holmes here. How do you. Yes, you like my Sherlock Holmes? And then for the members, we give you a nice, yes, nice little drum. Oh, I also wanted to be sure and send me your books. Send me your books because we are looking for more people to send their books. If you wrote a book and you'd like to be part of our book club, send it to, what is it? 1819 Southwest 5th Avenue, Portland, Oregon, Suite 116, and the zip is 97201. Okay? Okay, so here is another question. Once Putin is removed, will she invade Russia for oil and resources? Whoa, that is wild. That is a really good question. China's economy is going to be okay. And I think the reason why is because there's this feeling like this is ridiculous. The more we go to war with them, the more we wind up, so we got to come together. I mean, every time I go forward, people do not want World War III. It's more like, come on, it's not enough to get rid of Putin or the wingnut out of North Korea, right? If we haven't taken care of the underlying problem, which is that a single person can get control of a nuclear weapon. That's the bigger issue. So he's gone, and then, I'm saying, so that's a little scary. You have this Nine of Pentacles moving in, which is economic confidence. So that's why I'm not worried about China. And then we have this 6-month period, we can tell times tentatively with wands. That's because wands, unlike the other suits, grow. And they are associated with time. right? With time. When you think about it, dollar bills are made from linen and paper, right? Which comes from the trees. So we also have this kind of interesting connection between the wands and entrepreneurship, right? Six of Wands is interesting because I like the Christmas leaf over it, or the Christmas energy. This is my sometimes Christmas card, but marching towards victory over the next 6 months. I will say this relationship looks really unstable between China and Russia because you've got that Seven of Cups, and that is to go into the clouds. Just, where the heck are we right now? Just completely in the clouds. Final outcome, also Wheel of Fortune. This relationship could be coming to an end between these two groups, between these two countries. Definitely it's going through some changes. I'll do a clarification for you, Joel. Oh, it looks like the United States could be visiting Russia in the future after Putin's gone. I see Putin being gone. I think that they're economically in trouble. I think that there's going to be some kind of economic forum to kind of help Russia and China because of the international consequences. I think that Russia is going to be partially disarmed. I think that China wins in this scenario because China, we're not going to go to war with China. We're going to work with China. But I do think Russia had to be disarmed. You can see here, this is kind of like a confidence card. Also, I feel this energy to be like Putin. This is a Putin card, this mediator coming in to help make things right with China. Look at this, global satisfaction within 6 months. That's not going to bode well for the GOP. Hopes and fears, foolish, confusing behavior by the people we're having problems with. Final outcome appears to take the sword away, and that would mean to disarm. You want to talk about it? Putin, long-term druggie. I can do those profiles for people. Again, we can't diagnose this way as doctors, but you go into this energy and you really go into it. Things are looking kind of strange. The relationship with Prigozhin, the fact that Prigozhin had stuff going on. He was supplying stuff, drugs for soldiers, and anything and everything else. He was a keeper of secrets. He must have done something because he was getting paid $1 billion or something out of Russia. So what did he know that he had that kind of power? What did he have on Putin? Right? India stopped buying oil from, I just think that people just want it to be done. I don't think Putin the only support Putin has right now is maybe Iran, and they are willing to stop if you pay them, right? It looked like they were almost wanting to extort the Abraham Accords, which of course is a disaster. It would just be rearming them, and then the nightmare would keep going, right? Putin, okay. William is unhappy with America. Yeah. Yeah, she's just supposed to sit around and look happy while he leaves every night to do what exactly? I don't know. I don't think that's what's going on with William. I think that it's more than likely that he's found his interest elsewhere. Bandages on her hand, which is a sign of what? ED. ED is erectile dysfunction. So I don't know. Scratches on her hand. I don't know what. Eating disorders. Military coup. That eating disorder. I don't think that would be associated with this, but boy, those ladies in the royal family, they are just miserable. Let's see if there's a military coup in North Korea. Future of North Korea. They don't have any money. So who are the people that say it's like a concentration camp? It's a death camp. Yeah, you can see here, no money. They're falling apart slowly due to a lack of economic support. Changes in spring. Look, if they're not getting aid from Russia, and if even China doesn't want to give them aid, who are they going to get aid from? They're going to have to ask for help from the West to survive because they're too weak to continue. The health issue, economics, strength. You know, it's also when you go into this, South Korea does not want to merge with North Korea and have a bunch of North Koreans voting. Do they think the average North Korean could handle a free democracy? No, you stay where you're at and we'll help you build South Korea. And then maybe someday we'll be. It's more that kind of, there's a kind of a fear about unifying South and North here. The legacy, grief over the legacy, that too many cultural shifts have happened. So if they were to collapse overnight, you would have all of these people who didn't necessarily have the sociocultural wherewithal to even understand the society that they are now a part of. So you have this amazing movement in spring over North Korea, which again leads me to suspect that it's more helping North Korea rebuild themselves with assistance, but not necessarily creating one country overnight. That's what it looks like. Yeah, I think it will cut off North Korea. I think that that's definitely where it's headed for a number of reasons. First off, because we're moving away from a conflict towards unity, and we don't need to pick fights with everybody. That's not the direction we need to be headed in. Well, yeah, nausea, emesis. It also in Chinese medicine would be stagnant qi or rebellious qi. It's treated as rebellious qi. Usually we give emeritol or some kind of simple carbohydrates. Ginger is safe in pregnancy. You could do like a ginger chai and crackers. We will often, if you can get that down. And then I move on to smoothies. They can't chew things. They're just not going to be able to swallow it. But what I can usually do is I can get the meal replacement smoothies like Mediclear, SGS by Thorne Research, crackers, ginger tea. Some doctors will okay cannabis in pregnancy just to get them to eat. I think a little bit of cannabis tincture is probably safe in pregnancy if you're dealing with extreme emesis. Yes, I do think it's fine to have small amounts of edibles. That's safer than pharmaceutical. So yeah, when we talk about a colon dying, if you have a blockage, say you had a diverticula, you had stress, you wound up with a hole in your gut, then it became impacted all, fecal tissue gets into the hole widens, then it cuts off. It's like a bowling ball in your gut, and then you have it cuts off circulation and blood flow to that particular part of the colon, often at the transverse colon. You have the transverse colon, and then it's superior transverse and descending, right? So between the transverse and the descending is this little area that goes like this in a sigmoid colon. And that's the area where you can get pockets. And I can go ahead and show that to you if you guys would like to see more of this. Let me show you what these look like, and then to give you an idea of what's happening. And I do believe in the stress connection, and I think that no one's perfect, right? None of us is perfect. And asking somebody to be perfect or placing imperfect expectations on somebody, perfect expectations, it takes its toll. It takes its toll, and so what do we learn? No one's perfect, right? No one's perfect. We're all just people. And yeah, it's fun to play dress up, right? It's fun to play dress up. And it's fun to play princess, right? Until somebody gets hurt. But you can see these pockets that start to form here, and this is where the infection starts to happen. And then we have a loss of blood flow. And then at that point, we're talking about a resection. This area from here to here might be removed, and then the two healthy parts will be put together. See if I can find another picture for you folks. You're all interested in this stuff. I'm surprised at how many of you started to ask me medical questions, because I really honestly didn't think you folks were interested. But here's a diverticuli with a dead tissue afterwards. And again, not to reiterate too fine a point, but yeah, I think there's an emotional component. Absolutely. When you are not allowed to honor your gut, there's a CT. If you don't listen to your gut, when it's a whisper, then it'll be a shout. You know what I mean? Okay. Well, yes. So what's my intuition about this? I'm thinking either Crohn's disease, Crohn's, Crohn's disease, or diverticulitis. Yeah, that would be where I would go. Yeah, resulting in the tissue being damaged. Now, if you're looking at, let me show you. I'll show you that too. What the heck? It's a good idea to talk about this stuff if you have the symptoms yourself of some of these things, right? The things we learn by hanging out and playing cards with Dr. Whimsy. Yes. Now, in the case of ulcerative colitis, you might have a different area also. I'm tending to go diverticulitis, just and that we're looking more at the sigmoid. You can see here, We've got some damage due to ulcers. You might also get ulcers in other places as well. But here is a resectioning. What the resectioning, you see the narrowing here. This is Crohn's disease, which can be in the small intestine. It can be anywhere in the digestive tract, unlike colitis, which is just in the colon. This kind of stricture can happen, and then death, and then resectioning. Yeah. I don't think it would be really hard. Well, it's possible that they've been keeping her condition a secret and that she has Crohn's. Here we can see the difference between Crohn's. You can see the patches could be either in the small or the large intestine. In ulcerative colitis, you can see the area here, which is the sigmoid colon. This area right here on the top is that area that's vulnerable also in diverticulitis, this area right up here. This is the area where you can sometimes get pain on your left side. If you're getting pain on your right side, that's usually this area. And that is where the ileum and the jejunum meet, the ileocecal valve. The ileocecal valve. So if you're feeling anything here, it's just stuff going from the small intestine to the large intestine. And that's the ileocecal valve. Over here is the sigmoid colon. If you're feeling pain over here, if it's really starting to hurt, it could be that you have inflammation. And then in that case, we would recommend maybe some sage tea or some other herbal antimicrobial. Before somebody winds up doing a surgery or something like that, I can go ahead and make them a medicinal tea. Strong antimicrobial teas like mountain sage with cloves. Cloves are very, very strong antimicrobial. Also, cloves are nervine. That's why they can be used. You can chew on a clove when you have a painful tooth. Yeah, definitely stress can be an aggravating symptom for IBD and also, I believe, diverticulitis. All right, keep those questions coming to me, both as a lover of the tarot, remote viewer, but also as a physician. If you're trying to get in for a reading with me, if you'd like to have that experience, I do call people via the telephone. Go ahead and put the information below. If you actually need to see me as a physician and have me make you teas, etc., that's a telemedicine appointment. That information is below, and then I contact you back via Zoom. Is there anything else I need to say? Oh, yes. If you just need a 5-minute Wizio with me, can't afford a larger reading, just want to do something small for 5 minutes. I think they're like $30 through Wizio. And then I will send you a film of me back answering the question with the cards. Again, thank you everyone who showed up. Thank you everyone, all the new memberships and the support that allowed me to be in Israel last month. Okay, that's it. I'm out of here. Be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. We'll see you next time. Bye, everyone. Love y'all. Bye.